Howdy folks, I'm Tex, and welcome to the Movie Shack. Now, I'm not going to waste your time yammering away this time. We're just going to get right into the show because it's actually a pretty meaty episode this time. You may recall part 1 of the race, which we watched last time, was a little bit on the short side. Well, part 2 definitely makes up for it, and it is just an epic battle between these two cars to see who's going to win. See if you can call it. See if you know who's going to win. Call it before you finish watching. Anyway, this is part 2 of the race. NASCAR fans ought to love this. I know I did. Enjoy.
The race, part 2. The winner, number 88.
Oh man. Yeah, okay. I admit I was having a bit of fun with you at the beginning there. It was pretty obvious that number 88 pretty much had it in the bag right from the moment go. Did anyone else find it kind of odd that all the tracks and obstacles in that racetrack seemed to be more or less single file? I mean, there was just no way the other guy could pass him. It just couldn't happen. I don't know. I'm beginning to think maybe the race was rigged. Now, to cap off this little look at the car-oriented shows that Sean did, I got a couple little treats for you. First off, I got this. Check it out. That's right. Number 88's rival. There used to be a sticker on there, but you can still see what it says. Look at it there a little bit. There you go. It's the Fun Buggy. Yeah, I have no idea why Sean chose to make this guy number 88's rival. This is from good old Tonka. Built Tonka tough. Yeah. But we also got number 88. Oh yeah. This is so cool. I feel like I'm holding a piece of movie making history in my hands here. I wonder what this would go for on eBay. Probably at least a couple bucks. Anyway, this was actually a Fisher-Price toy. I don't know where the driver's gone. I'm pretty sure Sean still has him kicking around somewhere. He's a bit of a pack rat in that respect. But, you know, wheels spin, and check this out. This is the cool part. Yeah, you can almost feel the revs. Listen to that engine purr. Yeah, alright. Now, if you're wondering how Sean did a lot of the sound effects, well, essentially, he used any toys he had laying around that made noise. Anything that made noise that could sort of pass for whatever was going on screen, that's what he'd use. So whenever you hear sort of that like laser sound or whatever, like when Mr. Fun Buggy disintegrated at the end of the race, that's actually a Transformers Shockwave toy. Shockwave could do a couple of different noises, and that particular one was pretty good for jarring disintegration scenes like that. You'll hear that sound used in some of his other films as well. Now, as for Spiffy revving his engine at the beginning of every episode, well, that was actually a little wind-up piece of a Micronauts toy. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the Micronauts in a future episode, but I'm not going to give anything away at this point. Actually, I guess I kind of just did. Well, We'll get to that when we get to it. Anyway, what he would do is he'd wind up this little motor, and it had like spinning wheels, right? So he'd wind it up, and then just let it go, and it would make this rum kind of sound. So he used that to get the sound of Spiffy. Now, as for the general sound of the cars as they're racing around, you can probably tell it was, I don't think it was this particular one, maybe it was at the time. It might have, I think this might have actually sounded a little louder back in the day. It's kind of worn out with time, but essentially you could tell he was just sitting by the microphone going, yeah, as only a kid can, right? It's all good, it's all good. Boy, if only we still had imaginations like we did when we were youngins, eh? That'd be something. Now, I mentioned I have a couple of treats for you. Well, of course, we got the cars that were actually used in the film we just saw, so that's pretty cool in and of itself. But I got another little treat for you. Digging through the archives, I actually found something that I thought you might find interesting. Now, first off, I got to give you a little bit of background info here, but I promise it won't be too long. Okay, originally, the Race and Spiffy and all those and the other shows that you're going to be seeing were all part of a show idea, sort of an anthology show idea that Sean had called 4 Series. And the whole idea with 4 Series is every series of 4 series would show 4 different series of whatever. So essentially it would be a bunch of different 2-parters or 3-parters or what have you, usually leaving off on a cliffhanger to be resolved later in the show. The whole idea being each segment would be a piece of a larger story, and it would be told over the course of this 4 series program. So you had Spiffy, you had the Race, and then you had a couple more, which we'll talk about later. But one of the cool things I found in the archives was actually a makeshift preview for 4 Series 2. That's right, Sean was already planning a sequel. Why didn't he do it? Well, quite frankly, you can blame his parents for that one. They got a little sick and tired of him always, as his mom put it, taking over the basement all weekend to do his movies. Well, stop motion freaking photography. Of course he's got to take over the basement. He can't move. It takes hours to do that stuff. Man, some people. Can you imagine how much stuff he would have done by now if his parents hadn't banned him off the dang camera? Anyway, let's take a look at the makeshift preview for 4 Series 2. I'll tell you right off the bat, it's not much to look at, but at least it'll give you some idea of where things were going. Let's take a look.
Coming soon, 4 Series 2. 4 Series 2 will have Spiffy save an armored transport full of gold and have another segment from the Race series, plus more. Stay tuned.
Man, Spiffy was going to go on an epic adventure to rescue an armored transport full of gold? I would have loved to see that. Now, in case you're wondering how exactly that was going to be done, well, needless to say, as I'm sure you've noticed, Sean had quite a lot of vehicular type toys. And one of them happened to be an armored transport with a bunch of gold in it. In fact, a lot of his story inspiration just came from messing around with his toys. And like, hey, this little game I'm playing, I could turn into a stop-motion movie. Why don't I do that? So that's what he did a lot of the time. And that's what we're watching. So that's all I got for you this week. Kind of a deluxe episode, if you will. So tune in again next week when I'm actually going to have a guest host step in and take over the duties for me because, well, it's not that I don't enjoy doing this for you, and it's not that I have much else to do anyway, but it's just that the subject matter of the next few films I think is best handled by an expert in the field. So I'm going to be calling my cousin down to help out with the hosting duties. Hope you like him. He's a bit of a character. Yeah, we don't hang out much, but I think he'll do just fine. Alrighty, I'm Tex. This has been the Movie Shack. Thanks for watching.